Hello and welcome to episode 6, I believe, 6 of the Lucas and Lucas podcast. Lucas Frankel alongside Mike Lucas. And we were watching Monday Night Football. It was a great time. Saints were down 20-3 at halftime. And who calls me? This person over here.
I did.
He tells me Drew Brees is done. He's got nothing left. The Saints are done. They have no chance to do anything. And I said they're going to win. And you know what happened? They came back from a 23 to deficit and won. Eat crow. What do you have to say yourself?
It proves my point once again. I'm not saying Drew Brees can't win games. I'm saying the dude has the exact same arm strength as Chad Pennington in 2009. You can't win a Super Bowl if your quarterback can't extend the defense. Now, he has Alvin Kamara right now, who may be the single best weapon in all of football, who turns these little 3-yard dink and dunk plays into 55-yard touchdowns with his elusiveness. They can't go deep, and if they can't go deep, they ain't going to win crap, Frankel. After week 1, when they played Tampa Bay and you asked, is this more telling about Tom Brady or Drew Brees? And I said, yeah, the Saints won, but I think the Bucs look way more promising moving forward. That has not changed at all in my mind, not even the slightest. I believe Drew Brees' deepest pass in the air in that game was 14 yards. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was 14 yards, according to Dominique Foxworthy on ESPN, if I heard that correctly the other day. If you're throwing the ball 14 yards, you're not going to win. Now, I know Michael Thomas is out, so that changes their game plan a little bit. They're focusing on the underneath routes. But, yeah, they came back because the Chargers choke games in hysterical ways. If Michael Badger doesn't kick one off the goalpost as time expires, they win that game, Frankel. And Justin Herbert was the superior quarterback in that game. It wasn't even close. From that game moving forward, Justin Herbert, I'm not saying he's a better quarterback at this moment, but I mean, you see a dude with a live arm versus Drew Brees who has a ragdoll arm out there, and it's night and day. So I stand by what I said in week 1. You came out here with a big grin on your face thinking you're going to get me. I'm not changing my opinion whatsoever. I feel better about it now than I did in week 1 with all the evidence backing me up. So yeah.
The fact they came back from 20-3 means nothing to you. And another question I have is, who's their deep threat? Who is Drew Brees throwing the ball deep to without Michael Thomas? Emmanuel Sanders is a slot guy. They have Jared Cook, who's a tight end. They have Kamara. That's basically who they throw to. Who are they throwing too deep? Tell me. Answer that question.
It doesn't have to be first off, you have Taysom Hill, who threw the longest pass of the Saints season last year. So this is not a brand new thing. Taysom Hill had the longest pass on the Saints last season. So Sean Payton has known his arm is deteriorating before his eyes. Now, that doesn't mean he can't win you games. That doesn't mean he's a bad quarterback. It's just they have to adjust their offense to him. And I'm not saying they should be chucking the ball deep because I don't think Drew Brees can make those throws. All I'm saying is when push comes to shove against some elite defenses, which I don't believe San Diego, Los Angeles, the blue and white, yellow Chargers are, you can win like that. When you're playing a great defense, you can't win in a 15-yard box. That's what it comes down to.
So your point is that the Saints aren't winning the Super Bowl is your point.
From week 1, I counted them off my list of Super Bowl contenders because Drew Brees can't throw the ball more than 10 yards downfield. Yes.
What about, I mean, you say that, but like Peyton Manning, this happened with Peyton Manning a few years ago. Why is this different? Why is this different?
I think football is different than it was when Peyton Manning won the Super Bowl.
5 years ago?
The passing around the league is completely different. And the Broncos had the best defense in the league that year. The Saints defense is good. It is not elite to the category that the Denver Broncos defense was with Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware, and all those guys getting pressure on the quarterback.
All right, whatever. I hope the Saints win the Super Bowl.
This will be a discussion we have all season, and I will be proven right when the Saints get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs.
We'll probably get a bye, so you'll be wrong there.
Only one team gets a bye, though. You think they're going to be the one seed?
Right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, get your facts straight before you try to disrespect me, Mr. Frankel.
All right, we have to get to more pressing topics other than how wrong this person is and everything.
This was your choice. This was your choice to start with it. You had the big grin thinking you were going to get me with some gotcha journalism.
I shared you on the Google Docs so you were prepared for it.
But, you shared it me 3 minutes before whatever. Frankel tried sharing me the production rundown 3 minutes before we started. He could have taken it out if he was really that worried about me defending myself. Well, let's talk about something more important, Frankel.
You're going to be so ignorant to admit that you're never going to be wrong about this. You're ridiculous.
We'll see. We'll see when he loses in the I'll put $5 on it right now. Drew Brees does not get to the second round of the playoffs. The Saints do not get to the second round of the playoffs. $5.
Jets released Le'Veon Bell in a noteworthy decision, I should say.
Yeah,
he's currently on the lookout for a new team. A lot of buzz about the Miami Dolphins, who the Jets play this week. Wouldn't that be pretty poetic? Who the Jets release Le'Veon Bell, and the next week they get to face him. It's usually how these things go for the Jets. Le'Veon Bell, I believe, averaged 3.3 yards per carry this season. Never had a rush of more than 20 yards. Never really was able to stay healthy. Him and Adam Gase seemed to be mixed like oil and water as soon as they met each other. I mean, this is just another case of, another good player. The Jets are just like, yeah, you can go. I mean, it happened to Jamal Adams, happened with now it happened with Le'Veon Bell. Just another,
Can I ask a question, Frank?
Sure.
Because you watch the Jets. Was Le'Veon Bell still a good football player?
It's so hard to say. I mean, he's not the player he was in Pittsburgh. That's blatantly obvious. I don't know if when he's in another system how much better he will. I mean, he can't be worse. I mean, he was atrocious with the Jets. Had no burst, no acceleration, unable to create space for himself. The Jets, their offensive style never really I don't think utilized him in the best way. The Jets are just so anemic offensively. They have so little weapons. He wasn't in a great situation to succeed. I'd be shocked if he ever got back to an elite level. As for what's next for him, I have no idea. They said they seem to point to the Dolphins.
Do you think he could help out a team like the Chiefs, though, or Miami, or whoever he go? Is he still capable of contributing on that kind of level?
As a player that you're counting on to for major production, I don't think so. I think he's finished as a reliable number one, give me the ball running back.
The only reason I ask is I may have seen 2 Jet games over the last 2 seasons, and I believe he was hurt for one. And frankly, the Jets offense was so bad that it was impossible to look good in that system. Adam Gase keeping his job is just a front for the time being. I mean, he's the worst coach in football, bar none. It's not even close. His comments to the media after the release of Le'Veon Bell as to why it never worked out is just a joke. You owe it to people to explain you're this quote unquote offensive genius. And I know he didn't want Le'Veon from the get-go. That style of running back doesn't fit what he wants to do. So that's obviously an issue on the Jets front office for investing in Le'Veon to that capacity. But come on, you have a good or what we think is a good football player. You have to find ways to get him the ball, especially when the rest of your offensive talent is lackluster at best. What's the best thing for a young quarterback? A good running game. And you would think you have a decent running back in Le'Veon Bell, but it just never came to fruition. And he's going to end up going to Kansas City and look like his old self again, because that just is what happened to Jets players. It just, they can't do anything in the green and white, and they go somewhere else. They look great. But yeah, I don't trust him. I don't think that if he's your number one running back, you could feel confident in your running game. He'd be a nice compliment to Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because they came into the season thinking they'd have Damian Williams split carries with Clyde, and Williams opted out for coronavirus concerns. So they need that second back. I just can't trust him whatsoever.
I'm just waiting for Jamison Crowder to say that he wants to be traded too, because I think a player the Jets have, I mean, there's no incentive to be there. They stink. They have no chance. It is a complete debacle of a situation.
Does Gase last the season?
I mean, if they're 0-13, I mean, how much more can Woody and Christopher Johnson sit there and just accept what's going on? I mean, I don't care. Doesn't matter.
Could it be a front though, because they know he's such a bad coach? They're going to keep losing games, so they just keep him around to pad their stats for the number one pick?
Honestly, it doesn't matter who the coach is. I mean, you can't win with this roster. It's the worst roster in the league, and it's not close.
But I'm saying that combination of a bad roster and a horrible coach equals 0 wins equals Trevor Lawrence.
I mean, if you fire Gase and you're just going to promote Greg Williams, who's a lame duck. So I mean, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. They're irrelevant.
He might give a little rah-rah speech and get the guys to win 2 games, and with how bad the Giants are, that 2 games could be the difference in Trevor Lawrence or the 3rd pick.
Well, the Giants get to play Washington.
Biggest game of the season, biggest game of the slate on Sunday is Giants versus Washington. Last year, the reason we didn't get Chase Young is we beat Washington. We have to lose this game. Giants, throw this, put your backup. I don't even know who the Giants' backup quarterback is. Play the backups, let them get killed, lose it. The Giants need to lose on Sunday.
I will be watching. Let's get to Major League Baseball, and then we'll go to the NBA. So the Yankees were eliminated last week in Game 5 to the Rays. Just absolute heartbreaker, just to stick a knife in my heart. It was one of the more gut-wrenching series defeats you can remember. And I blame Aaron Boone. He blew that entire series. Aside from the umpiring, which we explained last week, the whole David Garcia debacle, just inexcusable. if you're going to let the rookie go out there, show some faith in the guy. I was actually excited for Davey Garcia to go out there and maybe, put the team on his back, have one of those inspiring performances. Instead, they pitch him one inning and then you put Jay Happ in, who's hopeless. Not a fan of that. And then benching Gary Sanchez. I mean, come on. This guy should be one of the centerpieces of the team. And the fact that you're just kicking him to the curb. Anytime the Yankees kick a guy in the curb in the playoffs, it means that they're done. They're finished and they've given up. Or there's no chance that they win. I remember they did it with Gary Sheffield in 2006. They did it with A-Rod batting in 8th. It's been a theme where managers in the playoffs, they panic and they bench their good players or they drop them down the order drastically, and it ruins the mojo of the team. That was a sign to me that there's no chance they win that series. The lack of faith in Adam Ottavino, just a guy who can go out there. He had one bad outing against the Blue Jays, and Boone is afraid to put him in another game the rest of the season. I mean, it made no sense. And then in Game 5, down 1, pinch hitting Mike Ford over Gary Sanchez. Mike Ford is the single worst baseball player in the entire sport. And the fact that he's getting a pinch hitting playing appearance in a big spot, it's laughable. And Boone's logic was you didn't want to waste if Gary Sanchez reached, he wanted to use a pinch runner. And if he used a pinch runner on Sanchez, then they wouldn't have a catcher. Just completely illogical thinking in a must-win game, down 1. When you need a home run, who better to put out there than Gary Sanchez? So when he actually did get the play, hit freaking home runs. I mean, it's just complete common sense. Boone just didn't seem to have it. They had 1 sack bunt the entire season. I can't remember them executing a single hit and run. There's no diversity in the offense. They need an entire philosophical change, and you can't rely on home run because in the playoffs, when you face a Tower Glass now with Blake Snell, you're going to strike out. The Yankees struck out 18 times in one of the games. It's ridiculous. And
no, I actually agree wholeheartedly with you, Frankel. The one thing I disagree with is I like the decision to bench Sanchez because, he was a walking strikeout, and Higgy actually played pretty well in his absence. Other than that, there's a point in baseball where we've gotten to where analytics is too involved and managers go by the flat out numbers instead of their gut. And there are times where the numbers are just not equal to what you're seeing or what your gut says. There are guys who may put up fantastic numbers, but they don't have, for lack of a better word, they don't have the it factor in crunch time moments. Like J.A. Happ does not have the it factor in the big time moments, despite what the numbers may indicate, and the numbers suck for him. So I don't know what Boone was thinking about with that. Ottavino, he's a pro. He had that one bad outing, but this dude, we've seen him mow down opposing lineups time after time after time. I don't get that. I agree. Pinch hitting Mike Ford there makes no sense. I'm not sure if it's Boone making these decisions or if it's the analytic guys up in the booth and he's just a puppet, but there has to be a smarter approach and some human element to baseball, because these are human beings. I know it sounds dumb, but this isn't a computer simulation playing this game. These are legit humans, and some guys are better in crunch time. Other guys are worse. We've seen it in every sport. As far as hitting goes, frankly, I told you this last week. The Yankees offense drives me freaking nuts. I cannot stand watching them strike out. I'd rather have, I think at this point, a lineup of 9 guys who at best hit 15 home runs a season, but all hit 280 or above, than what the Yankees have now, which is DJ LeMahieu, who's unbelievable. Re-sign him at all costs. Aaron Hicks, who walks a lot, his on-base percentage is fine. And then everyone else, Judge a little bit, but everyone else is home run or bust. I can't stand these home run or bust guys because, like you said, against the elite pitching in the playoffs, you just don't get that many opportunities to tee off against bad pitchers. And that's why you see the Yankees scoring numbers just plummet the last few postseasons.
I mean, to be fair, they did score 22 runs against the Indians in those 2 games, which was a record for 2 games in the playoffs. So
the Indians just unraveled. And sometimes that'll happen. But more often than not.
It just when push came to shove and it really mattered and they really, really had to score runs or manufacture a run, they couldn't do it. And it's been the story of the playoffs. I believe they got shut out in 2007. In the last 2 games of the 2017 ALCS, they manufactured 1 run. They had 2 games to advance the World Series. They scored 1 run. And then against the Red Sox in 2018, they obviously struggled again. Against the Astros last year, when push came to shove, DJ LeMahieu had a huge home run in Game 6, but
he's so good. He
is. You cannot love him. He's unbelievable. He is stone cold DJ LeMahieu, just ice in his veins. just a very, and the fact that Boone had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to say after the Yankees were eliminated, don't ask me if the season was a failure. It was a failure. You failed every single season you've been the manager. Win a World Series, then get back to me. Stop complaining about that you were asking about how the season was a failure. If you don't win the World Series, it's a failure. If you don't want to answer the question, win. It's that simple.
I agree. Nope, I don't like agreeing with you, but I agree. Can we just give the Rays a little bit of credit though?
I hate the Rays.
I don't know.
I hate the Rays.
I don't know who any of these guys are. I don't know where they come from, but they are absolutely destroying the Astros. I've got a lot of crap from Astros fans down here after losing to the Rays, saying like, "Oh, you lost to a bunch of nobodies," and now they're just silent on Twitter because these nobodies are shutting them up. So the Rays are really good. It's Thursday. I beg, I pray, I hope they end the series tonight and win it 4-1. So we can say, hey, at least we won 2 games against Tampa Bay. But yeah, shout out to the Rays, dude. That organization's unbelievable.
It's amazing. I mean, they have no money and they just put out this product that they're so gritty, they're so tough. I don't know how they develop these pitchers. I mean, it's unbelievable. Every single guy they throw out there is untouchable.
Yeah,
I've literally anything like every single pitcher they have on that roster is like it's untouchable. It's like they're throwing out Cy Young every single time out, and the fact that they don't have a single pitcher like Blake Snell's never pitched 6 innings this year. That is unheard of for a team that doesn't have guys that give them length and they can just win games. They have the best record in the American League. Glasnow, Morton, just elite, and then they have like 13 guys out of the bullpen, all throw 100 miles an hour, all completely untouchable. It's like the most amazing thing I've ever seen. It's unbelievable.
Also, how about the Pirates trading Glasnow and Cole in consecutive seasons? I'm sure that turned out exactly how they wanted because they're now the worst franchise in baseball, and those 2 guys started a pivotal winner-take-all Game 5. So
I don't know what kind of operation whatever operation the Rays got going down in Tampa, it's completely mind-blowing. I've never heard of this guy Rosarena. The Yankees played the Rays 10 times during the regular season. I don't remember hearing his name once. And I watched every single one of those games from start to finish, except one of them, which like the Rays scored like 5 runs in like the second inning and I shut it off. But literally every single game I watched, I don't remember hearing that guy's name a single time. And here he is looking like the next incarnation of Babe Ruth in the playoffs. It's unbelievable.
I said it last week. I had heard of maybe 4 guys on that whole roster, and they're just good. They are flat out stupid good. They defend unbelievably. They pitch unbelievably, and they are better at manufacturing runs than any other team in the American League. So,
by the way, Luke Voigt. So Luke Voigt, who, if you watch any of the playoffs, you tell couldn't run or really move well. They came out with the diagnosis. He has plantar fasciitis. They said just needs to be in a walking boot for a week and he'll be fine. There's no way that was the cure.
He has
5 days off between the wild card series and the division series, and there was 0 improvement. So you're telling me that guy gets in a walking boot for a week and he's good? There's no way that's true.
Yeah, he had a broken foot or something. I have a hard time believing that it's like turf toe. Like I just have a hard time believing you put a little tough Actin on it from John Madden.
Plantar fasciitis, but
no, but I'm just saying it's something minor like that'll just be cured. I agree.
I would like to see though some pretty significant changes to the roster. They can't go status quo here. You got to make something up. Obviously, Trevor Bauer's in the mix in terms of what else they're going to do pitching wise. If you have a rotation of Cole, Severino, Bauer, Davey Garcia, I wouldn't bring back Paxton. I wouldn't bring back Tanaka.
Tanaka as your 5th starter is pretty good though.
Maybe I wouldn't bring back Happ. Obviously, I don't want any part of J Happ and maybe Montgomery there as well, who pitched great. But yeah, I think that they need another stud pitcher there. Let's go to college football. Very, very fascinating week in the world of college football. So last week it all started the big news with the Florida Texas A&M game. Dan Mullen complains after the game that their fans were too crazy. We need to be able to pack our stadium. Well, guess what? Florida had to shut down their facility. Their game against LSU this week was postponed because of what? COVID. And then on Wednesday, the biggest domino of them all, Nick Saban of all people. Nick freaking Saban tests positive for the coronavirus, will not be on the sidelines on Saturday in that huge, monumental Alabama-Georgia game. I mean, the amount of star power we've seen this week to get COVID. Dustin Johnson, the best golfer in the world right now. Ronaldo, the best soccer player, maybe of our lifetime, and the best coach in the history of college
football. Yeah.
It's like unbelievable. And then Donald Trump not too long ago too. It's like the Mount Rushmore of people that have had fires it's incredible to think about.
COVID doesn't care who you are, how much money you have, your ethnicity, your background, your social status. If you're not smart about it, there's a chance you're going to get it. And I have a hard time believing somehow Saban got it and no one else on the team has it, which I guess we'll find out later today because the SEC tests on Friday. So we'll find out tomorrow, what the status of the Alabama guys is. A&M's tested twice since the Florida game, and both rounds of testing have come back negative. So how did
it can take a week? This whole day or two crap that at least the NFL has been pulling, and that the day after everyone's good. It's garbage. It's garbage.
That's what I'm saying. The results as of now aren't indicative of what we're going to see in a week. And ironically, Alabama played Ole Miss. Florida played Ole Miss in Ole Miss. Could that be the center of the disease spread? Who knows? A&M played Florida and Alabama. Could A&M be the case, even though one was in Alabama? It's impossible to trace it back to one particular person or one particular place. And it's the great unknown right now, Frank. We might have the rest of these games go off unhitched, or we might have the entire season canceled in one weekend. If Alabama plays Georgia, and then on Sunday, their next round of testing comes back, they had 38 positive cases, hypothetically. Then Georgia, now who's Georgia playing? And it just spreads and that's the concern is how do you contain whatever spread you have, especially when you don't know how fast it's transmitted. It's utter chaos. It's utter chaos.
The way I picture this is there's a huge fire and they're just they're barely dodging this massive behemoth fire, and eventually it's just going to kill you. It's just going to swarm you. It's going to overpower you, and that's going to be that. And that's what I feel like with this COVID stuff. They're playing with fire like I've never seen before. The fact that they're going through with these games after their coach, who's probably made contact with every single guy on the team. And playing the game, to me is just completely. They're trying to. It's really something to see, and I'm honestly baffled that they're going through with all this stuff, because you know what's going to happen. They're going to end up pausing the season. If you bet gun to my head, there's no way that this season gets finished as. I would be shocked. You're going to see an entire team test positive.
It's all about. Vanderbilt has Vanderbilt has more players that have tested positive, so they can't meet the 53-person threshold.
It's a ticking time bomb. What was the money sign you were doing?
They're playing because money. It's all about the money. It's all about the. I don't know all the school's numbers, but I'll tell you this: every dollar that A&M makes from football is a needed dollar right now. And every dollar that I'm sure all these schools in the SEC are making right now from football ticket sales are necessary dollars. I don't think we're going to see a lot of coaches get fired this year, even when they probably should. Like Tom Herman, for example. Texas, financially, this is not the year to fire you. You don't have the money to pay two coaches, including a buyout. So just keep that like the money is the major driving factor here.
It's interesting to see because the Big Ten changed course so quick. I wonder if you're maybe we didn't make the right decision here, but we'll see how it all plays out.
Well, their COVID testing guidelines are so different anyway. If anyone tests positive, they're mandatory out 3 weeks.
Not looking great. A couple NBA nuggets from today. Daryl Morey stepped down with the Rockets. I don't know what's going on with Houston. I feel like they might blow that whole thing up. What do you make of what's going on there?
You can only bang your head against the wall so many times before you call yourself insane. And I just don't think the James Harden experiment as currently constructed is a path to the title. We saw them against the Lakers. The Lakers team is going to look pretty similar as it did this year. They don't have the pieces to compete. Morey did a great job assembling talent. His goal was to get stars there and stars win. We saw that with the Lakers. Stars win, but they have to be stars who fit together. And I don't think there's a perfect star that fits with James Harden. I think he's the single most unique offensive talent this league has ever seen, the best one-on-one player of all time. But one-on-one basketball isn't conducive to winning in the playoffs. So whether they try to rebuild and refunction around Harden, I think the head coaching hire is going to be key in that. Because I thought D'Antoni actually maximized what they could get out of Harden in that group. I'll be interested to see what Morey does if he goes in the NBA, or does he try to take his talents to the NFL? Can you see the Houston Texans hiring Darryl?
I know that him and Bill Simmons are very close.
But Morey's he's a cap guy. He wasn't a basketball guy before. I mean, he's a basketball guy before he took the Rockets job, but he was a statistician, numbers guy before he got into basketball. I think a lot of those same principles could be translated to other sports, and the Texans need a job. That's what I want to see most. I want to see Morey go to the Houston Texans and finally give Deshaun Watson some talent.
That's a wild take.
Also, wait, one more thing on that. No one likes trading first-round picks more than Daryl Morey, and the Texans don't have any first-round picks to trade because Bill O'Brien already traded them. So it'd be a perfect stepping stone for Morey going from one Houston team to another.
Your guess is as good as mine as what's next for him. Ty Lue named head coach of the Clippers. I found that pretty surprising. I guess unless they just decided that they liked him better than Doc Rivers, which might be the case. Or Kawhi was like, I'm done with Doc. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, it was 100% Kawhi's decision. Steve Ballmer, just from what I've read, evaluated the whole organization and said we should have done better this year. And he watched Doc blow 2 3-1 leads and said, all right, we have one more shot at winning with this roster because Kawhi and Paul George are free agents after this year. Does Doc give us the best chance, or does Ty Lue give us the best chance, or someone else? And I think he looked at it and said, I think someone else, a fresh voice, a new ideology, basketball-wise, give us a slightly better opportunity. And once that was the choice, it was all Kawhi and Paul George to decide. So they wanted Ty Lue. Players love Ty Lue. I don't think he's a great X's and O's coach, but we'll see this year. He's got his work cut out for him with that Clippers roster.
Before we wrap up here, I got to say, so we got a new coworker at work that I work with, and I asked him what his name was, and he gave me a very Italian name, like a blatantly Italian name. So I was like, oh, what's your favorite Italian?
Francesco?
No, it doesn't matter what his name is. I asked him what his favorite Italian food was, and he goes pasta, and I almost popped a blood vessel. I was like, I mean, you're Italian. Your favorite food is pasta? I basically kicked him out. I mean, I was just floored. Just like that's the worst answer you could possibly have. Like just pasta, just plain pasta.
Well, let's rank them. The best Italian food's chicken parm, undebatable.
My chicken parm, but yeah, if you want to go that route.
Chicken parm.
It's all subjective. I'm a huge chicken piccata fan, chicken franchise, vodka sauce. Those are if you're talking about Mount Rushmore, for me, it's chicken piccata, chicken franchise, chicken parm, and penne with vodka sauce. Those are the 4.
Oh, you are a basic white girl in a man's body with that answer. No, it's definitely chicken parm's up there for sure. I like the pasta dish with the seafood fried Diablo. I'm trying to get an Italian accent going.
Diablo.
Yeah, garlic bread.
Garlic bread in your Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, and lasagna. Give me some lasagna.
Oh, cottage cheese, rather eat vomit.
There's not cottage cheese in lasagna.
Ricotta.
You don't like ricotta cheese?
Not really a big fan.
But yeah, you like noodle canoodle.
Noodle cocoa, it's freaking incredible. Every time I make it, my roommate eats half it. I'm so angry at him. These guys stop eating my food. I'm so angry.
All right, Frank, this was a good show, buddy.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe, download, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. See you all beautiful, smiling faces next week. If you want to tweet at me and tell me how right I am, at Lucas Frankel is the place to go. See you next week.